Good evening. I wish to thank you all, and especially the Cohasset Democratic Town Committee, for asking me to speak here tonight. It's the topic, and the timing was perfect. So I feel quite honored to be here to express some views on it. I cannot compete with Link on the length of time that he is historically and what he's done in this area. What I was planning to do was to sort of equate some of my experiences in the Foreign Service with the situation, the problems that I see in Iraq. And I will begin with my experiences in the Foreign Service. I worked quite a lot with the United Nations, as Tom has said. I also was the officer in charge of problems of oil-producing countries. And that got me somewhat involved in Iraq. And then I had a tour committee in Algeria. And some of you have read in the papers, there are similarities. They certainly aren't the same between the French experience in Algeria and...
Charlie, I'm sorry, we can't hear you back.
Oh, sorry. My tour in Algeria, I just brought home to me the similarities, though they aren't exactly the same, between the French occupation of Algeria and trying to keep Algeria as a part of France, and their efforts there, and also while I was there, the Median was the dictator, but his efforts to develop the country. And finally, I spent a couple of months in Vietnam. I was an inspector to look at our Accords program. The Accords program in Vietnam was an effort to send young aid and State Department officers, put them out in the country to help develop and make more economically viable Vietnam. That being considered an essential factor to create peace in the country and strengthen the South Vietnamese government. So I'll begin with the United Nations. I'm a strong believer in the United Nations. I reluctantly supported, as Rick said he did, the attack on Saddam Hussein. I supported it not because of the problem of weapons of mass destruction, but because I saw Saddam defying the United Nations, ridiculing the United Nations, and therefore weakening the United Nations. And to me, this threatens what was really the most critical issue facing the United States, and that is to continue our policy of stopping proliferation of any nuclear weapons. And obviously, at the moment, I'm thinking very much about Iran. The United Nations is our only way of doing that, and it's very important for the United States to build up and strengthen the United Nations so it can help in our efforts to limit the spread of nuclear weapons. To me, what is needed is to give back more strength to the United Nations, and also, at the same time, to try to get out of Iraq. And therefore, most of what I'm going to talk to you about is how we might re-involve the United Nations in Iraq, both principally economically, so as to help develop that country. Before I go back to the United Nations, I want to talk about oil. Like you indicated, he did not believe in the theory that big oil gets into Iraq. I agree with that. But oil is absolutely critical to any future of Iraq. How to divide up. This is really their only resource and the only hope of redeveloping the country. how to divide up the oil, which is up in the northern part of the country in the Kurdish section, or down in the Shiite southern section of the country. But how to divide that up between them, and also to get it to Baghdad and the Sunnis. And we have made this a precondition, Bush, to success. Our Maliki government is meant to create a oil program which law for Iraq, which will do this thing. And I totally agree it's important, but I think we should realize this is asking a huge thing. A new government, a weak government. I think many of us can remember our own U.S. discussions of how to divvy up the offshore oil. Louisiana is still not happy the way we've settled that. In my area of expertise, the law of the sea, we agreed to extend the international boundary line to 12 miles from the old 3-mile limit. What happens in between? Basically, we've decided it's too tricky a political issue to take up. We haven't resolved that problem in the United States as to how to handle this area in between. This is maybe one of the, and it's meant to be one of the earlier benchmarks that we've set for them. It's impossible for them to